In the history we know, it is Polly Gray who saves the family again and again from the outside. She is the one who held it together through the war when all the men were in France. She is the one who, at the end of 1922, puts a bullet in Inspector Campbell to save her son. Polly kills for the family. She has always killed for the family, but she never turned the gun inward. She never once aimed it at the thing that was destroying them from the inside. Because by the end of 1922, Polly Gray has watched her nephew Thomas drag the whole family deeper than any of them ever wanted to go. The deal with the crown, the deaths, the way he spends the people who love him like coins. She has begun to understand a terrible thing, that the greatest danger to the Shelby family is not Sabini, or the Italians, or the law. It is Tommy. It was always going to be Tommy. So ask the question the show never dared to ask. What if Polly Gray decided that to save the family, she had to do the one thing she swore she never would, and aimed the gun at her own? This is the story of the night. The matriarch chose the family over the man, and the long price she paid for being right. It happens at the end of 1922, in the dark, the way these things happen in this family. Tommy has just pulled them through another war that was his to start. And instead of stopping, instead of taking the peace they bled for, he is already planning the next move. Bigger, more dangerous, another deal with men in government who will use the Shelbys and discard them. Polly sees the whole road laid out in front of her, every mile of it paved with the people she loves, and she sees that no one will ever stop him. Not Arthur, who worships him, not Ada, who fled, not the law, which he is cleverer than no one except her. She comes to him not in anger. That is what makes it unbearable. She comes the way she came to him 1,000 times, his aunt, the woman who half raised him after their mother died, and they talk in the low voices of people who have loved each other their whole lives. She tells him to stop. She begs him in the only way Polly ever begged, which is to state the truth plainly and wait. She tells him the family cannot survive what he is becoming. And Tommy, who is right about everything except the only thing that matters, tells her she does not understand, that he is doing it all for them, that one more deal, one more war, and they will be safe forever. He has been saying that since 1919. Polly has finally understood that he will be saying it the day they bury the last of them. So she does it. In the dark, with the gun that, in the history we know, she would have saved for Campbell. She does it weeping. She does it whispering an apology she will repeat for the rest of her life. She kills the most dangerous man in Birmingham, and he is her sister's son. And he dies looking at her, not with hatred, but with something far worse, with understanding. Because Tommy, at the very end, sees exactly why she has done it. And the last thing he ever does is the kindest thing he ever did. He nods. That nod haunts her for 30 years. Now watch what the family becomes without him. The first thing that happens is chaos, and then grief, and then a silence where the engine used to be. For all that Tommy was destroying them, he was also driving them, and a family built around one man's will does not know how to stand when that will is gone. Arthur comes apart entirely. He does not know who did it. At first, Polly lets the world believe it was the Italians, or Sabini, or the law. And Arthur wants to burn down half of England, in revenge for a brother killed by the woman standing beside him, handing him his coat. That is the first weight Polly takes up. She lets Arthur grieve a lie, because the truth would destroy what little is left. She will carry that lie alone for the rest of her life. And then Polly Gray does the thing Tommy Shelby could never do, the thing she killed him to be able to do. She gets them out. This is the great difference between the two worlds, and it is everything. Tommy's whole genius was for going deeper, outthinking the next enemy, winning the next war, climbing the next rung. He could never stop, because stopping was the one move he did not have. Polly has only ever wanted one thing, the thing every woman who held that family through the war wanted, which was for the children to grow up and not die young. So she does not take the next deal. She unwinds it. She does not expand to London. She retreats from it. Piece by piece, over years, she takes the Shelby Company apart, the dangerous parts, the parts that were always going to get someone killed, and she turns it into the dull, safe, legitimate thing Tommy always promised they would have someday and never, ever delivered. Betting shops become a haulage firm. Protection becomes property. The guns go into the canal. Birmingham watches the Peaky blinders, the terror of the city, quietly stop being frightening. And the men who waited their whole lives to take the Shelbys down arrive to find there is nothing left to take. Polly gave it away before they could come for it. Exactly the move Tommy could never make, because to him giving it away was losing, and to Polly it was the only winning that had ever mattered. The family survives. That is the plain, astonishing fact of this world. Every one of the young ones lives. Michael does not become the cold creature the empire would have made him. Finn grows up without ever being blooded. Ada's son, and John's children, and Tommy's own boy, Charlie, they grow up in a family that is dull and respectable and alive. No vendettas, no Moors, no immortal man. Just a haulage firm in Birmingham and a fierce old woman at the head of the table who buried something in 1922 and never told them what. But this is a story about Polly Gray, and the Shelbys never got clean endings, and neither does she, because the price of being right is that she has to live with it. And Polly is not a woman who can lie to herself the way Tommy could. She knows what she did. She killed the boy she raised. She looked at her sister's son and decided his life way less the fantasies, and she pulled the trigger, and she was right. And being right does not lift a single ounce of it. She becomes the matriarch she was always meant to be. The queen Tommy never let her be while he lived. The family adores her. The city respects her. And every night she sits alone with a cigarette and a glass and the photograph of a dark-eyed boy. And she has the same conversation with a ghost who only ever answers with a nod. There is a scene near the end of her long life that says it all. Charlie Shelby, Tommy's son, grown now, a quiet, legitimate man who never knew the truth, comes to sit with his great-aunt in her last years. And he tells her, the way the young tell the old, that he is grateful, that whatever his father was, the family Polly built gave him a good life, a safe life, a life his father, by all accounts, could never have given him. And Polly Gray, who has carried the secret for 30 years, looks at her sister's grandson. this calm, safe, living man who exists because she murdered his father. And she says the only thing she can say. Your father loved you more than his own life. He just never learned how to love you more than the work. So somebody had to choose for him. And then she says nothing else, ever, about it. And she takes the truth into the ground with her, the way she took everything that would have hurt the children into the ground. So weigh the two worlds one last time. In the history, we know Tommy Shelby lives and drives the family up and up and up, into greatness and into ruin. And they are extraordinary, and they are haunted, and they are consumed by the man at the center of them. The legend survives. The people pay for it. In this world, Polly Gray does the unforgivable thing in 1922, and the family becomes small and dull and unremarkable and alive. Every single one of them into old age, whole. She trades the legend for the lives. She trades her own soul for their futures. And she never, not for one night in 30 years, gets to put it down. The history we know asks what a man will sacrifice to protect his family. The answer with Tommy was everything and everyone, including in the end himself. This world asks the harder question. What will a woman sacrifice to protect a family from the man trying to protect it? And Polly Gray answers it in the dark at the end of 1922 with a gun and a whispered apology and a nod from a dying man who finally too late understood. She saved them all. She is the only one who never got saved. And perhaps that is the truest thing this family ever taught us, that sometimes the one who loves you most is not the one who builds the empire to keep you safe. It is the one willing to tear it down and damn herself doing it, so that you get to grow old, never knowing how close it came. Polly Gray knew. She always knew. She carried the knowing for all of them alone to the end. That was the bullet she never told them about. And it was, in its terrible way, the greatest act of love this family ever saw.